Alright, today we're going to be talking about how to snell a fish hook. I'm using nice big circle hooks, and I am using some really nice bright thick fly line to show you how to do it. But of course when you do snell your hooks, I like to do it with monofilament line. And I'm using big 16-0 circle hooks, so you get a good idea how to snell a hook. So I hope you come out of this video snelling hooks better than me. So let's get right to it. I'm using a circle hook here, and I always go in through the point side of the eye because I want that hook to set as such. That's where you're going to get your most effective use of circles. We did other videos on that, so let's get right to this now. So what I want to do is I want to pull through a good length of line, and I'm going to form a loop on the top. I hope that nice orange line is showing well. But what I want to do is I am going to form a loop on top of my hook. And you want to use the right size loop because you want that tag end to be slightly longer than the end of your hook. So we're going to make that loop. And what I'm going to do now is you want to hold that loop with your index finger and your thumb. Like that. And you want that loop to be bigger than the width of your hook, okay? Because you're going to be ringing that loop around your hook like such. So you want that loop to be slightly bigger or a bit bigger, and the loop's going to simply get shorter because you're going to be winding around the shank of your hook. But then what I'll do is I'll take that loop between 2-3 fingers on my right hand, and what I will start to do is I'm going to wind that loop, see that tag end? Around the shank of my hook and around that line. Around the shank of the hook. And I'm going to make sure, you see that tag end? Making sure that tag end goes through. And then there's a little bit of finesse when you're making your loop. You see my loop is a little shorter now, but with my my ring finger or my middle finger, I will pull more line out. Now I made a bigger loop. So I'm going to bring that loop around the shank of the hook and make sure that tag end of my line is going through. And you kind of can play with that, and just like such. And with a thick set of line, I've gone through plenty of times I need be. Usually I'll just stop at, if I'm using a really thick line, 3 or 4. So now we have it set up like such, and you want to make sure you're holding that end there with your thumb and index finger the whole time. So now I have my loop, my tag end, and I'm holding a knot. Now one of the tough things is with knots is you can get to this part, but it's the tightening part where you lose the knot. So you have to tighten your knots proper. The way I tighten my snell, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that whole snell like such, and I'm going to pull through now with my other hand, so that snell's going to get smaller. See that loop going through over my finger? You don't want that. So I'm going to pull that right through, and at this point you grab your tag end, pull your tag end, and pull that snell tight, semi-tight. And you can slide it up now with that thicker line, and then you go for your good tightening. And then you grab both ends and cinch it down real good. And that is a snell. One more time with a J hook, just in case you didn't get it the first time, and you can see what I mean about that bent eye hook. But we're going to do all the same. We're going to go through the eye of the hook, and what you want to do is, again, you want to go in through from the hook point through the eye, and we're going to make our loop. And again, you want your tag end. Now this is a regular hook, but you want your tag end to be slightly longer than the length of your hook. And you want your loop to be able to wrap around that whole loop. And again, make sure you know what end you're feeding, because you're going to have to pull that loop as it's going to get shorter as we wind it around. So let's start. Again, I'm going to take this between, say, my thumb and my middle finger. I'm going to make my loop. I'm going to make my first wrap. And you can see that small loop form on the left, right by my thumb. That's important later. So I'm going to kind of twist that line around. And you want to go around your shank and the tag end of your line. Again, around the shank and the tag end of your line. And I'm kind of, you see I'm rotating that loop around, and again go around that tag end of your line and the shank, rotate, pull. I'm pulling line out now with my index finger. It's getting shorter than the length of my hook. And the same thing, rotate, and I'm holding the top end of that knot with my index and forefinger around the tag end and the shank of my hook. I'm going to do one more. I think you got the idea now. Now this is the important part. You see I got the loop on my left, the tiny loop on my left, big loop on my right. I want to grab that knot. I'm holding that knot between my thumb and my index finger. If I pull on this, that little eye up there is going to get smaller. You don't want to pull on that tag end first. That's going to tighten your knot. This is going to get stuck. Everything's going to blow. So when you tighten your knots, again, how you tighten your knots is more important than how you wrap everything around. So now I'm going to grab my main line, the head end of my leader. I'm going to pull that. And you're going to see that as I pull it, that loop, the big loop, will disappear. I'm still holding that. I'll kind of switch it in my other hand, maybe. Now I'm going to pull on my tag end. And when I pull on my tag end, that small loop now gets tight. So now I have my snell mostly in place. Pull both ends. Now it's semi-tight. Keep in mind, if you got little bait holding barbs up there, you kind of have to slip it up over. We're not talking about that. But now I can pull it right up to the eye of my hook. It's still not tight. And make sure you moisten your knots. So I want to grab that. You can leave a big tag end too, so it gives you something good to hold on to. And pull that knot nice and tight. And sometimes you get a little wrap under or wrap around. It does not matter much. And I'm going to pull that tight. Now I can do it from the main line. And we have snelled the hook. And this is what I'm talking about. You see you have a straight discharge from the eye of your hooks. That line is lined up with your shank. So you're going to get that full hook set and power. So we did a circle hook. We snelled a circle hook. We snelled a J hook. I'm going to clip the tag end. And I hope you got it. And there we have it. We snelled our hook. I used a big fly line. Practice with a few. Have fun with it. Once you get the hang of it, you really can zip through them. But that's how I snell a fish hook.